Hello everyone, welcome to the course on SQL development. In this video series, we will create a project, the library management system, and which will be able to manage the books and the students in a library, and we will add the functionality to issue books and return the books, and it will keep record of all the issued books. Now let us look at the topics covered in this video. So we will first look at the introduction to library management systems. Then we will build the database for our project. After that we will look at the project structure, and then we will do the project development, and at last, when all the steps are completed and the project is completed, we will host the project on cloud. Now first let us understand what is a library management system. A library management system is a software that is used to maintain the record of the library. It contains work like the number of available books in the library, the number of books which are issued, or returning or renewing a book, or the late fine charges. It helps to maintain a database that is useful to enter new books and record books borrowed by the members. It also reduces the manual record burden of the librarian, and it allows the librarian to maintain the library resources in a more operative manner that helps to save the time. It is also convenient for the librarian to manage the process of books allotting and making the payments. The library management system is also useful for students as well as the librarian to keep the constant tracks of the availability of all the books in the library. This system will reduce the manual work, and the whole process can be managed through a single click. The admin or the librarian has an extra authorizations and privileges to add, remove and issue books, while the students can only search and borrow the books. Now the tools which we will be using in this project are, we will use MySQL for the database, then we will use PHP for backend, and HTML, CSS and JavaScript for the front-end development. Now let us look at the project structure. So what we will be building? We will be building this management system for the librarian. So the first page will contain the login page for the admin. After that, he or she will be able to add or remove books in the library database, and he or she can also add or remove the students which are registered in the library, and the software will also contain the features to issue and return the books, and also the admin can add or remove other admins also. So this is how the ER diagram of our database looks. As you can see, we have 3 tables. Apart from this, we also have an admin table which contains the admin login details. So here these are the 3 main tables. As you can see, the students table contains the details of the student. So we have details such as the student ID, name, email, department and phone number. The student ID is here the primary key for this table. And next we have another table, books, which contains the details of all the books in the library database. Here we have the attributes such as the book ID, the book title, the author, the ISBN number of the book, the category of the book, the publisher name and the call number of book. So in this table, the book ID is the primary key, and they both are related with the relationship borrow, and we also have a relationship table borrow, so which contains the details such as the borrow ID, which is the primary key, and it will contain the details such as the borrow date and return date, and it has the foreign keys book ID and student ID. Now this is the relational model for our database. Apart from these 3 tables, we also have an admin table. So this is the student table with all the column names, and we have then the borrow table, which is the relationship table, and it has the details such as the borrow date and return date. After that we have the books table, which have the columns such as book ID, title and author. So now this is the relational model. So let's create this database in our SQL server. In this video, we will create the database in our server. So we will use the phpMyAdmin to create the database. So before this, make sure that the SQL server is running on your local machine. So we will access the phpMyAdmin interface with the admin button. So here the phpMyAdmin interface has opened. So it is a free and open source administration tool for MySQL. It is a web application which is built in PHP, and in the left side you can see the list of all the databases. So I will create a new database. I will name it as library_db. As you can see, the database is created. Now let's create the tables inside the database. For this we will use SQL queries. So go to the SQL tab. Here you can see a window. So here we will write the query to create our tables. First I will create the admin table. For this I will use the create table command. Now inside the brackets I will give the column names. So the first column is the admin ID and its type is int and it will be not null. And we will set it as auto increment. This will also be the primary key for this table. SQL is a case insensitive language, which means that the case of the query doesn't matter. Next column is the admin name. I will give it as varchar of length 50. This is the maximum length. And it will be not null. Okay, so the third column is the password. I will keep it as varchar of length 50 and it will be not null. The third column is the username and it will be varchar and 50 length. The last column will contain email and it will be varchar and 50 length. Okay, so here I have created the table. So this is the query for admin table. Now let's create similar queries for the student table and books table and the borrow table. Next I will create the books table. So in this table we have the primary key as book ID and we have the book title. Then we have the author name. After that we have publisher name. Then we have the categories. And the last column is the call number. Okay, so now this is the query for the books table. Now I will create the query for the student table. So I will rename it as student. And we have the first column as student ID. After that we have the email, then name, and after that we have the department, and at last is the phone number. So these are all the columns for our student table. And the last table is the borrow table, the table which contains the relationship. So I will name it as borrow. The primary key is the borrow ID. Next we have borrow date. Then we have return date. After that we have the two primary keys, student ID for the student table and book ID for book table. Alright, so these are the queries for creating our tables. So I will run this query. So now as you can see, the tables are created. So this is the admin table. Right now this table is empty and all the tables right now are empty. So we will fill the data using the management system. Alright, so now let's create the code to connect to our database. Hello everyone. In this video we will do the project development. So first let us look at the project directory. So our project directory will be inside the XAMPP installation directory in the htdocs folder. So to access the directory, click on the Explorer button in the XAMPP control panel. So it will take us to the XAMPP installation directory, and as you can see, this is the htdocs folder. So inside this folder we have to create the folder of our project. I have already created the project folder. So let me open the folder in the text editor. So now I have opened the project directory in the text editor. So here you can see this is our project folder, and inside this folder we have many files. So we have 3 folders and some files. So these files are the web pages for our project, and this folder contains several other files. So inside the CSS folder we have the CSS files for our project, and inside the includes folder we have several components for our website, such as the dbinclude.php. This file contains the connection to our database. The header.php file, this file contains the header of our web pages, and the navigation.php, this file contains the navigation bar for our website, and snippet.php, this file contains some functions. I will explain them later. Inside the JS folder we have the JavaScript file, such as the bootstrap JavaScript, the jQuery, which are required for our website. And so these are the pages in our website. The first page is the addbook.php page. Then we have the addstudent.php page, the adduser.php page. Then we have the admin panel page, the booklist page, and several other pages. Okay. So first, now let us look at the connection file to our database. So the file is inside the includes folder, which name is dbinclude.php. So this is the file where I have defined the connection to our database. Here you can see I have defined the variable host as localhost and the user as root. And the pass variable is blank, it's the password. And then I have given the DB name as library_DB. Okay, so here I have defined the connection through MySQL connect. So here I have passed the arguments as the host name, the username, the password, and the database name. Okay, so the connection is created and it is stored in the object connection. Okay, so here I have checked whether we have successfully connected to the database or not. So let me open this in the web browser and check whether we are able to connect or not. So now I open the web browser and I will type the link to the page. So this is the URL for the dbinclude.php page. So now I will click enter, and you can see that it has printed the connection result. So it has printed the connection to the database is successful. Okay, so now our connection to the database is successful. Now let us look at the other files. So this is the simple connection file. Now let us look at the header.php file. Inside this file I have included the header tags, such as the bootstrap file link, the theme link, and the JavaScript links. Okay, so this is included in every page. So we will include the header.php file in every page, so that we don't have to type this much of code in every page. We'll just include it using PHP. So next is the navigation page. We will look at it later. So this is the snippet.php file. Inside this file I have defined 2 functions. The first function is the sanitize function. So this function removes any illegal character from the data. So we will apply this function on the input we take from the user. So many a times the user may include illegal data which is of no use. So we will use this function to sanitize it. Okay, so we will pass a string, input string here. And after that I have defined the connection to our database. And after that I have checked whether the input is an array or not. So if the input is an array, it will traverse through each of the element of the array and then apply the sanitize function. So otherwise, if the element is not an array, it is a single element, then it will go inside this else statement. Inside this statement, the first function we have applied is the strip slashes function, which removes any backslashes. So we have removed the backslashes from the input if there is any, and after that we have applied the clean input function. After the clean input function, I have applied the MySQL real escape string function, and I have passed there 2 parameters. The first is the link, our database connection, and then the input string. So this function escapes special characters in a string for use in an SQL query, taking into account the current character and set of the connection. So it is used to create a legal SQL string that can be used with the SQL statement. So it will remove any special characters from the SQL statement for the specified data connection. Here I have returned the output from this function. So here I have also used the clean input function. So this function is defined here, the clean input function. It takes a string as an input, and I have defined a search array here. So this array contains all the JavaScript tags, the HTML tags, the style tags, and the multi-line comments. So it will remove all these from the input string and give the output. Okay, so I have used the replace function here. If any such element is found in the input, then it will replace it with the null element. So then it will return the output. So overall, this snippet.php file contains the functions to clean the data. Now we have created the database connection file and created the connection to our database. Now let us look at the index.php file. This is the home page of our website. This page will contain a simple form, the login form, and a button to show the list of all the books to the students. So let me show how this page looks like. So this is how the home page will look like. It will contain an admin login form. With the help of this, the admin can log into the system. And there is also a view books button which will show the list of all the books to the students, which does not require any login. So it will only show the list of books in the library. So this is the code for index.php page. In this page, we have first started a session using the session start function, and after that we have checked that if the session has already been started or not. So if the session is already started, so there is no need to log in to the page. So we will redirect the user to the admin.php page. After that, we have included all the files, the snippet.php file, the database file, and the header.php file. Okay, so after that we have created the form here. So this title is the admin login, and it has two fields. The first is the username and the second is the password. Okay, so the method for this form is the post method, and when the user will click the submit button, the control will be transferred to the if statement. So here we have checked whether the user has clicked the submit button or not. So we have used the post method here and used the isSet function. The isSet function is a built-in function which checks whether a variable is set or null. So if the variable is set, which means the user has clicked the button, so it will execute the statement under this if block. So the first thing we have done here is taken the username and the password from the form and stored it in the PHP variables username and password. So we have applied a few functions here. The first is the trim function, which removes any trailing and extra spaces from the text, and then we have applied the sanitize function. We have already seen this function. So it will remove any illegal strings and characters from the input string. After that, I have used the query. So this is the SQL query. So with the help of this query, I have retrieved all the users from the database which the user has provided the information. I have used the select statement. So I have used select star from admin. So all the users from admin, where the username is the user provided username and password is the user provided password. So if there is any record exist which the username and the password matches, so this will return the result. After that, I have executed the query, and here I have given the connection variable and the SQL statement as the input, and after that I have used the MySQL number of rows function. So it will return the number of rows in the result array. So if the number of result is greater than 0, which means that a matching record is found and the user's enter details is correct. So after that it will enter this if block. So here I have used the MySQL fetch assoc function and provided the query. So this function fetches a result row as an associative array, and I have stored this in the row variable of PHP. After that, I have created a session auth variable and set it as true, and the session admin variable is the username the user has provided. Okay, so after this all is done, the login is complete and the user is redirected to the admin.php page. After that, I have used the exit command to exit from this page. Here in the starting of this page, I have checked whether the session auth variable is set or not. So this is because to check whether the user has already logged in or not. So if the user has already logged in, the session variable auth is already set and its value is true. So we will redirect the user to the admin.php page without filling the form. So this is the admin.php page. This is the dashboard of the user. So this page contains the 3 buttons, the links to various tasks the user can perform. So the first button is the all books button, which will redirect the user to the books table.php, and the second is the students list button, which will redirect to the view students.php page, and the third is the borrowed books button, which will redirect the user to the borrowed books.php page. Apart from this, this page also contains the navigation bar. So now let us look at the navigation bar, so which is inside the folder includes. So this is the navigation bar. So in this file we have first checked whether the session has started or not, and the user has logged in or not. Okay, so after that, this is the HTML code for the navigation bar. It contains only 5 links. The first is the homepage link, the second is the books link, the third is the admin links, fourth is student, and fifth is the shoot books link. So the homepage, the home button will take us to the home page. The books button will show us the list of all the books in the library. The third is the admin button. With the help of this page, the user can add or remove other admins. And the fourth is the students page. So in this page, the admin can manage the students. And the fifth is the shoot books link. So in this page, the user can manage the books which are borrowed by students. And in the corner, I have set a logout button. So with the help of this button, the user can log out. So this is the logout.php file. So in this file, first I have started the session. So it will check whether the session has started or not. If the session has already started, then it will destroy the session and it will redirect the user to the index.php page, and the exit function is executed. So when clicking the logout button, all the sessions variable will be deleted and the user will be redirected to the login page, which is the index.php page. So this is how the admin page, the admin dashboard looks in the web browser. So here you can see this is the navigation bar. We have the home button, the books button, the admins button, the student button, the shoot books button, and the logout button. So here are the links to the various tasks the user can perform. So this is the all books button, which will take us to the books table.php page, the student list, which will take us to the student page, and the borrowed books, which will show the books which are issued to the students. Alright, so that's it. This is the books table.php page. So when clicking the first button on the dashboard, the user will be redirected to books table.php page. So in this page, the user can manage all the books on the library. So this page will contain a button to add the books in the library record, and also it will show the list of all the books which are present in the library, and the user can also delete the selected books from the record. First, in this page I have required all the files, and after that the heading is the books table, and inside this container I have printed the table, and before the table I have created a button which is to add the book, and on clicking this button the user will be redirected to addbook.php page. So this page contains the form, we will see it later, and below this button there is a table to print all the books which are present in the record. So these are the column titles: the book ID, the book title, the author, ISBN, the publisher name, categories, call number, and at the last there is a column which contains the button to delete the record. So in the table body, here I have used the select star from books SQL query. So it will select all the records from the books table, and I have used the MySQL query function to execute this query, and I have passed the connection variable and the SQL query. And after this I have created a counter variable which is set to 1. This will be used to show the serial number of all the records. Now I have used the MySQL fetch array to store all the records from the database to the PHP variable row, and so row is an array of all the records. So in the table body I have printed all the records, and I have used the while loop to traverse through all the records in the array. So here I have used the echo statement to print all the record details. After that, in the delete column I have created a form. So this form contains 2 fields. So first is the input type. So this will store the value of the book ID which is to be deleted. So for each record it will be the corresponding book ID. And after that I have created a delete button. So on clicking this button, the form will be submitted. The submitted value will be the book ID, and on clicking this button the user will be redirected to the if block of this statement. So here I have checked whether the user has clicked the delete button or not. So I have used the post method here and used the isSet function to check whether the post variable delete is set or not. So the first thing I have done is stored the entered ID in the PHP variable ID. I have also applied the sanitize and trim function to clean the input, and after it I have executed the query. The query is delete from books, where book ID is the selected book ID. So it will be the ID corresponding to the record which I have clicked the delete button. And after that I have stored the result in the result variable, and I have set the error variable as false. So if the book delete is successful, the error variable is set to true. Now if the error variable is set to true, I have used the isSet function to check whether the variable is true. Now I have used the triple equals to here, so it will check the equality as well as the data type. So if both are true, then this statement will execute and a message will be printed that the record is deleted successfully. So this is how we will delete the record from the database. Now let us look at the addbook.php page. So this button is above the table. So this button will redirect us to the addbook.php page. So this is the addbook.php page. Actually this page contains a form. So this form will contain all the details, the book details which are required, and will insert the record in the database. So first in this page I have required all the required files, and after that I have created a form. So this is the container of the form, and I have required the navigation bar. After that I have created a form. So this is the form, and the method for this form is the post method, and it contains various fields. The first field is the book title, and the second is the author, the third is the ISBN number, the fourth field is the publisher, the fifth is the category, then we have call number, and after that we have the add book button. So this is the add book button. On clicking this button we will be redirected to the starting of this page, which is the isSet post submit. So here we have checked whether the submit button is clicked or not. So after the user has clicked the submit button, we have stored all the form data in the PHP variables. So before this we have applied two functions, the trim and the sanitize function. So the trim will remove any extra spaces and sanitize will remove any legal characters. So then here we have stored all the variables in the PHP variable, and after that I have used the statement insert into books. Then I have given the column names and the values. So I have used the MySQL query function to execute the query. So after the query is executed, I have checked whether the query is successfully executed or not. So if query means the successful execution, so it will alert the user as the new books has been added, else it will alert the user that the book has not been added. So after the successful addition of the book to the database, it will redirect us to the bookstable.php page. So this is the add book form. So it contains the fields such as the book title, author, ISBN, publisher, category, and call number. Now let me enter a book. So I have entered the details, and when I will click add book, it will alert us that the book has been added, and we will be redirected to the books table page. Now this is the bookstable.php page. As you can see, this page will show us all the recorded books in the database. So here against each record we have a delete button. So on clicking this, it will delete the selected record. So now as you can see, the book has been deleted successfully. Now this is the view students.php page. So this page is used to display all the students which are registered in the database, and with the help of this page we can also add or remove the students from the database. So this is the structure of this page. First I have required all the necessary files which are required. After that I have created a container, and the heading is the student table, and after that I have printed the table, and before the table I have given a button similar to that of the books table. So here we have the add student button. So using this button we can add the student to the database, and this button will redirect us to the add student.php page. So below this we have the table in which all the student records are printed. So this is the table structure. These are the column headings. So we have the fields that the ID, name, email, department, phone number, and a column to remove the record from the table. After that, I have used the query select star from students. So this query will select all the records from the student table, and after that I have used the MySQL query function. Here I have passed the connection and the SQL query. After that I have set the counter variable 1. This will be act as the serial number of the table. After that, in the while loop, I have stored all the data from the database in the row array, and inside the while loop I have printed those elements. So the first is the serial number. This is the counter variable, and this variable will increment by 1 after each loop. And after that we have the student ID, the name, email, department, and phone number. And this is the last column of the table. This is the delete column, and it contains a form. So in this form I have created an input variable which is hidden by default, and it will input the student ID. So the variable it will store is the student ID of the particular row. And below this we have the delete button. On clicking this delete button, it will pass the student ID, and here I have used the if statement to check whether the user has clicked submit or not. So I have used the post method in the form. So I have used the set function, which is used to check whether the variable submit contains null or not null. So if the variable contains not null value, so the ID will be stored in the PHP variable ID, and I have used the trim function here. After that I have used the query delete from students, where student ID is the ID which was selected in the table. Now I have executed the query, and after that if the query returns true value, then I have alerted the user that the student has been deleted. Now in this page above the table we have the add student button, which will take us to the add student.php page. So this is the add student.php page. Using this page we can enter the details of the student. So this page will contain a form to enter all the details of the students, and then it will enter the data in the database. So first I have included all the required files such as the snippet, database, and the header files. After that I have created a form here. So this is the form. It contains fields such as the full name, the ID number, the department, email, the phone number, and a add member button. So whenever the user will click the add member button, the if statement will execute here. So the method for the form is post, and I have used the isSet function to check whether the submit contains null or not null. After that I have used the trim function on all the post variables of the form to remove the extra spaces, and after that I have also used the sanitize function to remove the illegal characters from the input string. And after that these all are stored in the PHP variables. So the student ID is stored in the PHP variable student ID, the email in the email variable, the department variable, phone, and the name variable. Okay, after that the query is insert into students, and these are all the column names. And after that I have given the values here, the student ID, email, department, phone, and name. Then here I have executed the query, and after that I have declared the error variable as false. But if the query executes successfully, then the error variable is set to true. Otherwise if the record does not enter to the database successfully, then it will alert the user saying that the registration failed. Alright, so here when the registration is successful and the error variable is true, then we have set up a condition here before printing the table that if the error variable is set and its value is true, then it will give a message to the user that the record has been added successfully. Okay, so now let us see how this works in the website. So we can access the view students table from the button here, the student list. On clicking this button, we are transferred to the view students.php page. Here we can see the list of all the registered students. So on clicking the add student button, we are redirected to the add student.php page. So this is the form, Let me fill this with an sample data. So this is a sample data, and now I'll click add member. So here it has given the message that recorded it successfully. So now this is the students page. Here you can see that the data has been added to the database, and now if I click on the delete button, it will delete the record. So now it has alerted us that the student has been deleted. So on clicking OK, it will take us to the page. This is the borrowedbooks.php page. This page contains the record of all the books which are currently issued, and we will use this page to also issue the books to the student. So let us look at this page. First, I have included all the required files. After that, I have given the heading as the currently issued books to the students. Then after that, I have created a button to lend the book to the student. So this button will take us to the lendbook.php page, where we can fill the details in the form to lend the book to any student. After that, we have the table showing all the books which are currently issued. So we have the table contents as the serial number, the book ID, the book name, the issue date, the student ID to which the book has been issued, and actions such as to remove the record from this table. So in the table body, I have used the query select star from books and perform the natural join on borrow. So what natural join will do? It will combine both the tables book and borrow with the common column, the book ID. So here I have executed the query and set the counter variable as 1. Then inside the while loop, I have stored all the records in the row variable of PHP using the MySQL fetch array function. And in the table body, I have printed all the records. So I have printed the book ID, the book title, the borrow date, and the student ID. So here in this table, the book ID is the common column between the two tables, the books and the borrow table. The book title is from the books table, the borrow date is from the borrow table, and the student ID is from the borrow table. So the last column is the delete button. So actually this form contains the button to return the book to the library. So what this button will do, it will remove the record from the borrowed table. So whenever the user will click the return button, it will redirect us to the delete query page, and I have passed the book ID variable through the URL itself. So here I have given the book ID of this particular row in which the return button is clicked. So this is the delete query page. Here you can see I have included the database file. After this, I have used the get method to get the book ID from the previous page, and I have used the if condition. Then after that, I have stored the book ID from the previous page in the book ID variable of PHP. Then I have executed the query delete from borrow, where book ID is the, so here the book ID is the book ID against which the return button has been clicked. So after that, I have redirected the page to the borrowedbooks.php. So this is how the returning of the book will work. It will remove the record from the borrowed table. Now let us look at the lendbook.php page. So this page contains a form to enter the details of the book which is to be issued to the student. So here I have included the required files, and after that I have created a form. So in this form I have given the fields such as the book ID, the book which is to be issued, and the student ID to the student whom the book is to be issued, and then the borrow date and the return date of the book. After that, I have created the submit button. On clicking this button, the control will go to the if block. So inside this if block, I have stored all the form data in the PHP variables. The student ID is stored in the student ID variable, the borrow date is stored in the bdate variable, and the due date is stored in the due variable, and the book ID is stored in the book ID variable. After that, I have used the insert into statement to enter the data into the borrow table. Here I have given the column names and their values. So if the query executes successfully, then it will show the alert as success. Otherwise, it will show the alert as unsuccessful. And after that, it will redirect us to the borrowedbooks.php page. So this is how the issue of book and the return of book work. Now let us look at the users page. This page contains the list of all the admins. So here in this page the necessary files are required, and after that I have created a table to print all the details from the admin page, such as the admin ID, the name, the password, username, email and actions. Above this we have a add another admin button. With the help of this page we can also add another admin. We will look at it later. So here I have printed all the details of the admin, and the admin can see all the details of other admin also, the username, password and email. And after that we have the delete button in the last column of the table. So with the help of this button we can delete the admin record. So when the user will click the delete button, the control will transfer to this block, and here the ID is stored in the ID variable, the ID whose admin is to be deleted. And after that I have used the delete query, delete from admin, where the admin ID is the selected admin ID. And after that the error variable is false by default. If the result is successful, then the error becomes true and the message will be shown that the record deleted successfully. So here before printing the table I have printed that if the error is true, then only it will print the message that the record deleted successfully. Now this is the adduser.php page. So this page will help us to enter another admin to the database. This page contains the form to enter the details of the admin. Here I have created the form to enter the details of the admin. The method for this form is post, and the fields are the full name, the username, the password, and second we have confirmed the password. After that we have entered the email, and the last is the submit button. Then when the user will click the submit button, the control will flow to this block. Here when the user will click submit, I have used the isSet function to check whether the submit variable contains null or not null. If this statement becomes true, then it will execute this statement. So here I have stored all the data from the form into the PHP variables, and after that I have checked whether the two passwords which are entered match or not. So if the password match, then it will execute the query inside it. Otherwise it will alert the user that the password does not match. So if the password matches, then it will insert the data into the admin table. So I have used the statement insert into admin, and these are the column names and their values, the name, password, username and email. Then the similar thing which we have done previously, we have set the error variable false. If the query executes successfully, the error is true, and we have printed the message here after checking whether the error variable is set or not, and the message will be shown recorded it successfully. Otherwise it will alert the user that the task failed. So this is how the admin can add another admin and also remove from this table. Now this is the books list.php page. This page shows the list of all the books from the database for the students. So this page doesn't require the login from the administrator. Anyone in the website can see this page without logging in. So the heading for this page is the list of books in the library, and I have not included the navigation bar or the session or anything like that. Then I have simply printed all the records from the books table. Here these are the fields which are printed: the book ID, the book title, the author, ISBN number, the publisher name, category of the book and the call number. Then I have used the statement select star from books, and similar to the previous pages I have used the while loop and stored all the data in the row variable of the PHP, and here inside the table I have printed all the variables. So that's it. Now this will print the data. Now let us look at this page in the web browser. Now this is the admin dashboard. On clicking the admins button on the navigation bar, we are transferred to the users.php page. Here we can see all the list of admins, and this is the button to add another admin. So if I click this button, it will take us to the add admin form. Here we can fill the details. So I will enter some details here. So I have entered the details. When I click submit, it will show the message recorded it successfully. Now in the admins table, we can see that the admin has been entered. Now if we click delete, it will be deleted. Now as you can see, the record is deleted successfully. Now on logging out, we can see the view books page. This button will take us to the books list.php page. Now this table shows all the books which are available in the library, and this page doesn't require any login. So students can see the list of available books from this page. It has also a home button which will take us to the login page. Now we have completed our project. Now let's host the project in the web. For this, we will use the Infinity free site, which is a free and unlimited web hosting site. First, in this site, we have to sign up. Now I have already created the account. So this is the dashboard. Here we can see all our websites. So to create a new website, just click on create account. It will take us to a new page where we have to select our subdomain. So I will search and we have certain domain extensions. Since it is a free site, so we do not have the choice to select the domain extension for our own. We can select from the given list. I will continue this for now. So it's showing some error. It says that the domain name cannot contain special characters. So I will click on search domain. So now the domain is available and it will automatically generate the username, and we have to enter a password here. So on clicking create account, it will create an account. Since I have already created an account, I will click on home. Here I have created the account, so I will click on the manage account. So this is the dashboard for our account. Here we can see the details for our website. So this is our account details, and these are the MySQL server details, and these are the FTP details. We will use MySQL details to create our database, and we will use FTP to transfer the files to the web server. Now first let's create the database in the web server. For doing this, click on the control panel. It will redirect us to the control panel of the website. Here we can see many options. So to create the database, click on the MySQL databases. So here we have to create a new database. We have to give the name here. I have already created the database. The database is shown here. I will click on the admin button and it will redirect us to the phpMyAdmin interface. So here I have already created the tables. So you can always export the table from the localhost using this tab and import the file in this server. Now to transfer the project files, we will use the file manager. On clicking the file manager, it will open in a new window, and here we can see the htdocs folder, which is similar to that in the XAMPP folder. So just open this folder, and here I have already created the project folder. So I have already copied these files, and one thing we have to do after copying the files to the server, that we have to change the database details. So I will open the includes folder. So here in the database configuration file, we have to change the parameters. The host name is different here, the user is also different, the password and the database is also different. So you can enter the host name, username and the password from the control panel. So these are the MySQL username, the MySQL password and the MySQL host name. And it is saying that the database name is in the form of this string. So now I have updated the details here. Now I will click on save. And now let's open this site in our web browser. Now as you can see, the website is successfully hosted in the internet. Now let's log in. So this is the admin dashboard. Here we can see the navigation menu, the all books, the student list and the borrowed books. Now let's click on the borrowed books. Here we can see that all the books which are borrowed. Right now no book is borrowed. and we also doesn't have any book in the database. So let's add in book. So now the book is added in the database. Now let's add some students. So we already have a student, and now let's issue a book. Right now none of the book is issued, so let's click on the line book to issue a book. So here we have to enter the book ID, the student ID. So in the books table we can see the book ID. So the book ID is 14 and the student ID is 53514. The book ID is 14 and the student ID is. Now here we have to enter the borrow date and then the return date. Now as you can see, the table is updated and we have issued the book, and the book ID which was issued is 14. The book name is Engineering Mathematics and the issue date and the student ID to whom the book is issued. Now to return the book we have to click the return button and it will delete the record from this table. Here is the list of all the admins, and we can add another admin from this button, and on clicking the logout button we will be logged out and we can see the list of all the books which are available. So these are the books which are available. So that's all in this project.